Mr. Chair, we're now live.
Good evening and welcome to the Town of Ajax Committee of Adjustment meeting for October 28th, 2020. This meeting of the Committee of Adjustment is being held electronically and live streamed on the internet. Due to the COVID-19 emergency and requirements for physical distancing, no in-person attendance is permitted at this meeting. All regular practices and procedures of the committee continue to apply during this electronic meeting. If we encounter any technical difficulties, we may take a brief recess while they are resolved. Thank you for your patience, and we'll now proceed with the meeting. Before moving on to the application portion of the meeting, I would like to confirm whether there are any disclosures of interest from members of committee this evening.
There's none for me.
Seeing none, thank you. And if we can move to adoption of the minutes from the previous meeting of September 30th, 2020. Cecil, thank you. And do we have a seconder? Lori, thank you. And all those in favor? Great, all in favor, and the minutes of September 30th meeting are carried. The Committee of Adjustment is bound by the Planning Act to assess each application based on its ability to meet 4 tests: that the application is minor in nature, is desirable for the appropriate development or use of the lands, and finally is in keeping with the general intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw. The process for tonight's meeting will be conducted in the following manner. The applicant and/or agent will be called upon and at their option may provide a brief description of the minor variance application they have applied for. Committee members may ask questions of the applicant, after which anyone with a direct interest in the application will be given the opportunity to speak either for or against the application. Once a motion is put forward by a committee member, there will be no further input from the applicant or anyone having interest in the application. After a decision is made, notice will be sent out and there will be a 20-day appeal period. Anyone having interest in the application may appeal to the local planning appeals tribunal within 20 days of the decision of the committee. After 20 days, the decision will become final and binding. If a building permit or other approvals are required, they may be filed during the appeal period. However, no building permits will be issued until the appeal period is over and decision becomes final and binding. A respectful decorum during this evening's proceedings is expected of all present at all times. Just introducing the committee members this evening, we have Mark Pavlik, Cecil Ramnath, Wasif Ahmed, Lori Roberts. I'm the chair of the committee, Greg Whitfield. And with us from Town of Ajax staff, we have Caitlin Grout, Secretary Treasurer and Senior Planner with the town. The first application for tonight's meeting is application A11/20 for 68 Pharaoh Crescent. The applicant is requesting variances. Pardon me, 1 second, sorry, wrong. To permit a maximum area of 45.3 meters squared for a platform or deck more than 1.2 meters in height above finished ground level, whereas the bylaw permits a maximum area of 30 square meters for a platform or deck more than 1.2 meters in height above finished ground level. Caitlin, was notice served and were any responses received aside from the ones that we received? Sorry.
No problem. Notice was served and we did receive 3 emails from residents which have been provided to the committee for your review.
Great, thank you. And is the applicant or agent present with us this evening?
Yes, I'm here.
Great, and thank you. Do you mind introducing yourself?
My name is David Lyons and I reside at 68 Pharaoh Crescent.
Great, thank you. For the applicant, town staff has recommended approval of your application subject to 3 conditions in the staff report. 1, subject variance apply only to the property municipally known as 68 Pharaoh Crescent as shown on the site plan submitted with this application and found as figure 2 within the report, or the decision shall become null and void. 2, that the owner or applicant maintain the historical drainage on the property, or this decision shall become null and void. And 3, that the owner or applicant obtain all necessary building permits for the town's building services section, or this decision shall become null and void. Have you received a copy of the staff report, sir?
Yes, I have. Thank you.
Great. And do you have any questions or comments on the variances request, or pardon me, or on the conditions recommended by staff?
Currently, I do not. Thank you.
Thank you. And do any members of committee have any questions or comments for the applicant?
I do, Mr. Chair.
Cecil?
Through the chair to staff, I have a couple of questions. Now, we're looking at the minor variance application. The staff, can you tell us whether similar applications have been approved by the town? And can you give us a sense as to how recent that was done?
Sure, through the chair. I did look back over the last 2 years, back to 2018. The committee has approved a number of variances relating to this same zoning provision. There's been a range of deck sizes that have been approved. I'll just give a couple examples: 39 square meters, 54 square meters, 67 square meters, 49 square meters. So I pulled up 8 different applications that were approved relating to this same provision. We also have another application tonight for this same provision. So it has been dealt with before. Hope that answers your question.
Thank you. So am I correct in saying that precedence has already been set?
That would be correct, yes.
So now, looking at the application, does it fall within, it appears as though it's falling within the same criteria as those that were already approved. My question is, can this application be viewed as an outlier, or is it right within the same guidelines of those that were already approved?
Through the chair, it does fall within those same guidelines and provisions that were reviewed. In this specific case, the applicant's proposal or deck is meeting all of the required setbacks from the side and rear property lines. So it's just the area of the deck that they're asking to vary.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
No further questions.
Thank you. Are there any further questions or comments from members of committee?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I got a question through you to staff. Caitlin, it's clear in the staff report the variance, or at least it's clear to me the variance on the size of the deck with the height variance. It's it exceeds 1.2, but what is the plan maximum?
So in the zoning bylaw, there's 3 categories for platforms or decks. The first category is of a height of 0.6 meters and below. The second category is of a height between 0.6 meters and 1.2 meters. And then the third category is anything above 1.2 meters. So the height is actually permitted. There's no cap on the maximum height, so they're not asking to vary the height. They're just asking to vary the area of the deck that is above that 1.2 meter height.
Okay, so I understand there's really just the one variance, which is the area, not the height.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
You're welcome.
Great. And is there any other questions or comments from members of committee?
Yeah, I just wanted to, I don't really have any questions, just a couple of comments that I more wanted to make to the applicant. And we did, just pointing out that we did receive one letter, a letter stating that they were not in favor of this application. And one of their biggest concerns was that this project happened without a permit. So the comment that I wanted to make in regards to this is to just let all parties know that we as the committee, we're not here to penalize and or reward anybody for going ahead and doing work without a permit. We are just basically to deal with the facts. So the fact that it was done before cannot come into our decision. So just wanted to kind of point that out, and wanted to kind of also make clear that although as a committee we have approved applications like this in the past, we also take each and every application individually and on its own merit. So sorry, just wanted to make those couple of points.
Great. Thank you, Lori. Just a quick question for the applicant. Have you received the correspondence on the notice that was received from members of the community speaking to the objections of the application?
No, I have not seen any of those.
Okay.
Through the chair, I did provide, so the Mr. Lyons is the homeowner. I've only been corresponding with the applicant, Robert Reed. The correspondence was all provided to Mr. Reed.
Okay,
Okay. Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
I am here and I have received those emails.
oh, great, thank you. Do you have any comments, or would you like to address any of the concerns in the letters that were received?
No, sir. We've this has been looked at carefully, and I appreciate the decision that the recommendation that has been made, and that's all I have to say for now. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, is there anyone here to speak either for or against the application before us this evening? Seeing none, in that case, if we can look for a motion on the application, please. Mark, sorry, did I see you?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, before I make a motion, I just want to make a comment. The reason I asked about the height was when I read the correspondence from the residents, which we do certainly appreciate and take into serious consideration. To me, it seems like the flavor of the correspondence has to do with the neighbors' concerns over privacy, i.e. that the height of the deck, what I infer to that is, that the height of the deck would allow the resident to allow the neighbors to have lack of privacy, assumingly, because you could see over to the backyard. But I just wanted to make it clear that the height of the deck is what would cause a privacy concern, but that's not subject to the scope of this committee because it's not a variance that's being sought today. So just wanted to make that clear that I don't know if we could have assisted on the privacy concerns anyway, because it's not a variance that's under the mandate of the committee to look at this time. In any case, with that said, I will make a motion then to approve this application subject to the conditions set forth by staff, in so much that application A1120 is minor in nature and meets the 4 tests set up for us.
Great, thank you. And do we have a seconder on the motion, please? Lori, thank you. Okay, seconded by Lori, and all those in favor. Great, application A11-20 for 68 Pharaoh Crescent is approved, subject to the 20-day appeal period.
Everyone, thank you.
Great, thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Okay, moving on now to application A25/20 for 86 Rollo Drive. The application is requesting a minimum setback from the rear lot line of 6.7 meters to a proposed sunroom addition, whereas the bylaw requires a minimum setback from the rear lot line of 7.5 meters. Caitlin, was notice served, and were any comments received on the application?
Notice was served and no written correspondence was received.
Perfect, thank you. And is the applicant and/or agent with us this evening?
Yes.
Great, if you don't mind stating your name for us, please.
Hi, my name is Ismatullah Amiri from Nesta Design, 48 Cove Bank Crescent, Brampton. I'm the authorized agent for this application. This application is for a variance for a rear setback requirement. There's already an as-built sandroom, which we will apply for a building permit. But right now we have a problem with the setback. One side of the sandroom complies with the requirement of zoning bylaw, and we comply with the setback requirements, but one side of the sandroom deviates like 10% from the bylaw requirements. The bylaw requires 7.5 meter setback, but we provide 6.7 meter setback. So it's 10% of difference at one side of the sunroom. And that's, we studied the staff report, and we want to comply with the conditions for this application.
Great, thank you. And just for those in attendance, and just to reiterate for yourself, the conditions that have been recommended by town staff is that the application be approved subject to 3 conditions. 1, that the subject variance apply only to the property municipally known as 86 Rollo Drive, as shown on the site plan submitted with this application and found in figures 2 and 3 of the report, or the decision shall become null and void. 2, that the owner or applicant maintain the historical drainage on the property, or this decision shall become null and void. And 3, that the owner or applicant obtain all necessary building permits for the town's building services section, or this decision shall become null and void. Do any members of committee have questions for the applicant? Seeing none. Oh, Cecil.
Mr. Chair, I have to step out for a little while there. Sorry about that. Are we still dealing with application 82520?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and looking at the drawing, I couldn't tell the height of the rail that's around the deck there, and I was wondering whether there is a criteria for setting the height of the rails, and was there a reason why the dimension of the rail was not included in the drawing?
Yes, can I answer?
That was yeah, and that is a question through you to staff.
Yes.
Through the chair, I can answer, and then the applicant can provide an answer if they have the dimension. For the purposes of the variance application, or the drawings, I guess, submitted for the variance, it's not shown. This application would be subject to building permit application as well, and through the permit review, the plans examiner would request that the height of the railing be included if it was not, and they would ensure that it meets the Ontario Building Code requirements.
Gotcha, thank you.
And the applicant, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I just wanted to say that the deck is, we want to apply for building permit, and the guardrail heights will comply with the zoning bylaw, which is 36 inches high from top of the platform.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions or comments from members of committee? Okay. Seeing none. Is there anyone here to speak either for or against the application this evening?
Yes, I am. John Knox.
Okay, thank you.
Not for or against. I'm just wondering if the building was approved knowing that the setback was not to plan, why was the structure erected?
Can I answer?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so the building was built, or the sunroom portion was built without benefiting from a building permit. The owner didn't know regarding the setback requirements or bylaws in this regard, or even he didn't know to get a building permit. So he started the construction, and during the construction, the city noticed the construction, and then they stopped the work. And then we came to know that we don't comply with the, we are not complying with the setback requirements. And that's why we are here for a minor variance.
The other concern I have is how is it going to be finished? What is it going to look like? Right now, it's kind of hard. We want to see the wood and the roofing. What is it going to look like? Because at one point there was a tree near the fence that was providing privacy. That tree was removed, obviously, maybe to make room for building the structure. But I'm concerned about how the structure is going to look. What's the finished product going to look like?
Yes. With our submission, I also submitted the side views of the proposed condition of the building. And then I think it is included in this, our submission. We submitted that, and I think we are only 10% deviating from that bylaw. Others requirements for the height and the privacy issue there, we we don't see any issue, and the tree, all those natural plants will stay as before.
Through the chair, I believe the question was regarding the materials. So the submitted elevations with the application do indicate the siding color to match the existing house. And I believe the shingles on the sunroom to match the existing as well. I'll let the applicant confirm that.
Yes, that's true.
Just to add on to that a little bit, committee members we don't consider the actual building materials, what sort of siding, whether it's stucco or brick. We're only considering the actual impact of the variance being requested. So the actual finished appearance isn't something that committee members are considering in this case with respect to the building materials, at least.
All right, Mr. Chair, the only other thing is that right now we are in the applicant as well. Now we've lost any kind of privacy that we initially had prior to the construction of that structure. So there's no more trees, there's no, so it's completely wide open.
Perhaps Caitlin, you can comment on that, but just to confirm that there is no private tree bylaw for the town of Ajax.
Through the chair, that's correct. The town does not have a private tree bylaw in place. So unfortunately, what that means is any homeowner, yourself included, would have the option to remove or plant any type of vegetation within private property.
All right, thank you. No other comments.
Great, thank you for your participation. Do any members of committee have questions for the resident? Seeing none. Great, and then in that case, if we can look for a motion on the application, if there's nothing further. I think I saw Wasif there first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to move that the committee approve application A2520 for 86 Rollo Drive on the basis that it is minor in nature, meets the 4 tests, and subject to the 3 conditions outlined in the staff report.
Great, thank you, Wasif. And is there a seconder on the motion? Seeing Cecil. Thank you. And all those in favor of the application? All right, all in favor, application A25/20 for 86 Rollo Drive is approved, subject to the conditions in the staff report and subject to the 20-day appeal period.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen, ladies.
Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, moving on to application A26/20 for 782 Audley Road South. The variance requested this evening is to permit a maximum area of 34.8 square meters for a platform more than 1.2 meters in height above finished ground level, whereas the bylaw permits a maximum area of 30 square meters for a platform more than 1.2 meters in height above finished ground level. Caitlin, was notice served and were any responses received?
Notice was served. We did not receive any written correspondence.
Great, thank you very much. And is the applicant or agent here with us this evening?
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. I'm Henry Dominguez, and I am the homeowner for 782 Audley Road South.
Great, thank you very much. For the homeowner, the Town of Ajax staff have recommended approval of the application subject to 3 conditions. 1, that the subject variance apply only to the property municipally known as 782 Audley Road South, as shown on the site plan submitted with this application and found as figure 2 within the staff report, or this decision shall become null and void. 2, that the owner or applicant maintain historical drainage on the property, or this decision shall become null and void. And 3, that the owner or applicant obtain all necessary building permits from the town's building services section, or the decision shall become null and void. Have you received a copy of the staff report?
Yes, sir, I have, and I have no questions with regard to the staff report.
Great, thank you very much. Is there anything you would like to add to the application for members of committee in their consideration?
None at this moment, thank you.
Great, thank you. And for members of committee, are there any questions for the applicant? Seeing none. Thank you. Is there anyone here to speak either for or against the application this evening? Okay, seeing none. In that case, we can look for a motion if there's no further discussion. Wasif?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to propose the committee approve application A2620 for 782 Audley Road South, on the basis that it is minor in nature, meets the fourth test, and subject to the three conditions as outlined in the staff report.
Great, thank you. And is there a seconder on the motion? Lori? Great, seconded by Lori. And all those in favor of the application, of approving the application? Oh, sorry. Great, okay, all in favor, thank you. Application A26/20 for 782 Audley Road South is approved, subject to the conditions in the staff report and the 20-day appeal period.
Thanks very much, everyone, and have a good evening.
Great, thank you, have a good evening. Okay, and moving on to our final application for this evening, application A27/20 for 23 Dring Street. The variance requested is to permit a minimum setback from the rear lot line of 4.9 meters to a cover patio, whereas the bylaw requires a minimum setback from the rear lot line of 7.5 meters. Caitlin, was notice served, and were any responses received?
Notice was served and one written response was received.
Great, thank you. And is the applicant and/or agent here this evening?
Yes, good evening, everybody. Chairperson and the committee members. Thank you.
If you don't mind providing your name for us.
My name is Ken Bharata, but legal name is Kanagavarda Kanagaratnam. It's a very long, so everybody call me Ken in the city and everywhere.
Great, thank you very much. Town staff have recommended approval of your application, subject to three conditions. One, that the subject variance apply only to the property municipally known as 23 Dring Street, and as shown on the site plan submitted with this application, found as figure 2 within the report, or this decision shall become null and void. 2, that the owner or applicant maintain the historical drainage on the property, or this decision shall become null and void. And 3, that the owner or applicant obtain all necessary building permits from the town's building services section, or this decision shall become null and void. Have you received a copy of the staff report?
Yes, I did, and I already applied for building permit also in the meantime.
Great, thank you. Do you have any questions or comments about any of the other conditions in the report?
No, I read the staff report and I'm fine with it, all the conditions and everything. I have no any further questions at this moment.
Great, thank you. And for members of committee, are there any questions or comments for the applicant? Lori?
Through the chair, for the applicant, the one correspondence that we received made mention of a gazebo. Do you have any idea whether that gazebo is staying or is going to be removed once this is completed?
I talked to the owner, and that if the committee wants it to remove it, he will remove it because it's a movable thing, and it's if that's wanted, he will remove it. But at the same time, that's like the kids, the gazebo is like, it's come like a portable thing. People jump on it and something like that. So they use it on the summertime only. And then this particular patio, like the people in the summertime, they can sit outside and the kids, while they were playing, the adults can sit and watch them or something like that. So.
Through the chair, if I can just add, I don't know what this gazebo looks like. The applicant or homeowner rather doesn't necessarily have to remove it from the property. I would just suggest that they ensure that it meets the minimum setbacks for accessory structures, which is the 0.6 meters, which is 2 feet from the fence line. Theoretically, then it could stay.
Yeah, sure. I will tell them to move it 2 feet from the fence, both corners, right?
Thank you, Caitlin. That was going to be my next question. Thank you.
No problem.
Any further questions or comments from members of committee? Seeing none in that case, is there anyone here to speak either for or against the application this evening? don't believe so. In that case, if we can look for a motion, please. Cecil?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I move to approve minor variance application A2720 as submitted, subject to the three conditions as required by staff, as it is minor in nature and meet before tests. I move to approve.
Thank you. And is there a seconder on the motion? Didn't see who was first. Lori? Okay, seconded by Lori. And all those in favor of approving the application subject to the conditions in the staff report? All those in favor? Your application is approved subject to the 20-day appeal period.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everybody.
Thank you. Have a good evening. And that concludes the application portion of our meeting this evening. Moving on to other or new business, if anyone has anything they would like to discuss. Nothing? Okay. In that case, if we can look for a motion to adjourn. Cecil?
Adjourn.
Sure, great. And seconder? Wasif, all those in favor? Great, and this meeting is adjourned. Thank you everyone